Hello everyone, welcome back to MUSE TV. I'm Samantha Aguilar and I'm going to give you guys a little rundown on some of the films that I got to watch this 2020 Toronto International Film Festival season. Today I'm going to talk to you guys about the film The Boy from Medellin. Now this film was directed by Matthew Heineman and it is kind of like a docu-film following the super iconic Latin Reggaeton singer J Balvin. For 1 week, cameras follow J Balvin as he prepares for one of the biggest concerts of his life. So the director only had a week with J Balvin. A big part of this film, beyond him doing this career peaking event, is him trying to figure out how to balance superstardom and also how to be a good citizen and represent his people and his country. The film begins after he flies back home to Colombia. He is from Medellin, of course. It's a huge deal for him, huge deal for his team. When J Balvin does get to Colombia, however, he is met with civil unrests. There are huge riots happening in Colombia, the biggest riots that Colombia has seen in years. These riots are held by workers, students, indigenous people, and they're basically on the streets demanding better wages, more job stability, more funding for education, a better healthcare system. Every day these riots grow bigger and bigger and bigger and more serious, and they're shutting down other concerts and other events going on in the same area. So these protests, these riots, they're huge and they're heavily impacting Colombia. So as all of this is happening, J Balvin is trying to figure out if his concert is going to be able to happen or not. This is something that him and his team have been planning for months on months on months. It's something that he was very much looking forward to. So there's a lot of panic on his part. Everything is so up in the air at that point, and there's so much going on in the country itself. As things get more and more serious, as streets start to close down, as events start to shut down, people begin to turn to J Balvin for support, for involvement. They want to hear him talk about what's going on. They want him to be more vocal. They want him to be more active in the situation, because obviously coming from Medellin, literally being brought up in Medellin and starting his career there and being able to get all that success there and then come to the States and beyond and really spread his music, the people really did feel like J Balvin was a huge voice and a huge representation of Colombia, and they really did turn to him. At the beginning, J Balvin is very much against opening up. He does not want to pick sides because he does not want to upset either side. He's conflicted as to whether he should open up, as to whether his voice is going to make the difference. Am I the right person? Why are people turning to me? With all the civil unrest, with all the political and humane problems that we're facing as a society throughout the world, we've slowly seen how citizens, instead of turning to people in the government, they're turning to athletes, they're turning to influencers, they're turning to singers for that support. They're looking to have their voice heard and their voice amplified by all these influencers that have huge followings, that have a platform, that's voices are more powerful, that can be heard even louder than theirs. And they're expecting influencers to step up to the plate and do their part. And we've seen it before. We've been seeing it a lot this year, how we turn to people who have big followings and hope that they will be the voice for the people. And of course, J Balvin is very reluctant to do this throughout the film. He doesn't feel like this is his job. He doesn't feel like it's a responsibility for him. He really does feel like, I'm an entertainer and I'm here to entertain, and I only signed up to entertain, and I don't need to be involved in all this political conflict because that's not what I'm here for. I'm here to do one thing and one thing only. And as the film progresses, and of course riots get bigger, get more dangerous, even deadly, he realizes the severity of the situation, and he finally starts opening up. And throughout this whole thing, although he is not very vocal at first about the political problems going on in his country, he actually is very vocal about the depression and anxiety that he's been suffering for the past 15 years of his career. Now, if you guys didn't know this, J Balvin is very active on social media about mental health issues. He talks about his depression. He talks about very low moments, even points where he contemplated suicide. In addition to that, he also talks about his anxiety and how difficult it's been to live with that, and how he's coped with it as well. So he definitely talks a lot about being able to cope with his anxiety and his depression through medication as well as through meditation and exercise. I think it's so important that we have people with platforms this big talk about how difficult it is to deal with mental health. And I think mental health over the past few years has definitely been a huge topic of conversation, as it should be, especially in the Latin community. I know that in the Latin community there's a lot of stigma when it comes to mental health, and so over these past few years to see Latin artists, see Latin influencers talk about this and open up about this is super important. So I love that J Balvin was so candid about it throughout the film. And of course by the end of the film, J Balvin is able to perform his show, and he does have a moment of silence for everyone lost during the riots and during the protests, and he's able to also just touch a little bit on how he feels about all of the unrest happening in his country and how hurt he is to see that his country has to really battle within itself and that there's so much change that needs to be done. And it's just very interesting to watch his thought process as a person, but also as an entertainer. It depicts J Balvin in both senses, right? J Balvin as superstar Latin reggaeton singer, and as Jose, just regular relatable guy. So yeah, there's a lot of topics that are super timely, from riots and unrest and politics to mental health, depression, anxiety. So Amazon Studios actually has the rights to this film, so stay tuned for a release date on that. I hope you guys like this review. Let me know what you think. Do you think this is going to be a good film? Are you interested in watching it? Leave your comments down below, like, subscribe. Again, I'm Samantha Aguilar, and you guys are watching MUSE TV.